The following podcast is provided by Era Living, innovator in residential retirement options since 1987. And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are here on behalf of Era Living. And one of the greatest things about working with Era Living is their connections to the community, different ways in which they keep the pulse on everything that's happening with later life, with gerontology, with all of the different sciences and breakthroughs that we have in supporting our older adults. And they also support an amazing organization. And for those of you that are listening, you may not have heard of like a virtual community, but a lot of these virtual communities that you may see around, they help seniors basically stay home as long as possible. They have a virtual they connect through virtually, and I can talk a little bit about what that means. But we are really honored to actually have someone that is immersed and actually oversees a program called NEST, which stands for Northeast Seattle Together. Emily Jones, Executive Director, welcome to Answers for Elders.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here. And I agree, Era Living is all about connections.
Aren't they?
That's why we're here.
And that's the thing I think is so exciting, because obviously, it's amazing all the avenues and all the connections that they have, and they really are at the pulse. And I always look at that and think, wow, they're so creative in so many ways. But now we're talking about virtual communities, and I would love first, Emily, if you would just start out, what is NEST? What is Northeast Seattle Together? And what does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, as you said, NEST stands for Northeast Seattle Together. And it was founded, it's a grassroots organization that was founded in 2009 by a group of neighbors who were interested in staying where they lived. And they didn't want something like, say an achy lower back or arthritic hands to keep them from living in their homes. And so they realized that through a neighbor network, they would be able to support each other. So if they needed weeds pulled, say, they could ask a neighbor to do it or take the garbage out to the curb. But there was a movement that began in the Boston area for virtual villages. And the idea was to create a network of neighbors who wanted to support each other through the transitions of aging. And so the movement came over here to the West Coast, and we're the oldest virtual village in the Seattle area. There are 6 now in the greater Seattle area.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And really, when you talk about providing the ability to have somebody, stay in their home as long as possible. I mean, this could be anybody that needs help with anything, but primarily there's so many seniors out there that really want that. They want to stay home, and we want them to. This is one of the things that's kind of ironic about all this, because people think, why would Era Living want to support an organization like this? It's because they're invested in the vital life of seniors. And, there may come a day where they want to go to senior living, and they have that wonderful bridge to, in the meantime, while they still can be at home, which is really awesome. So Emily, obviously, Era has been a supporter. Tell me a little bit about how they support you and how long they have been.
Oh, sure. So NEST began a sponsorship program in 2015, and Era Living was one of our very first platinum sponsors, and they have been loyal and incredible partners with us since then. And they've helped us in a whole variety of ways, from sponsoring programs and events, but also in ways that help us celebrate our members and our volunteers. And so, like right now, we have a speaker series going on about creating connections. And this month's focus is on finding connections through the holidays. So they help us bring in speakers, that are of interest to our members and the general community. And then we also actually are holding fall prevention workshop at Aljoya Thornton Place, one of their locations as well. So we bring some of our activities to them, and they help bring some activities and events to us as well, and to our members.
Yeah. And that's so important, because when you look at the different aspects, the holidays can be daunting. Especially I think families would love to involve their senior loved ones, but on the other hand, a typical crazy, family gathering, sometimes there's not a lot of mindfulness paid to, well, they don't necessarily have the stamina that they used to have. Or
Yeah.
maybe there's some special situations where if they're going to go into somebody's house, if there's a stairwell without a railing or different things like that, that people tend to stay back, they tend not to go. And I'm sure for you guys can help bridge that. And I'm sure part of that is making them feel important during the holidays.
Yes, we actually even hold our own Thanksgiving as well. So we
I
will have it
love
on
that.
the Tuesday prior or
Mhm,
after, depending on, how it falls. But yeah,
mhm.
we really find ways because not everyone can travel or not everyone wants
Right,
to, drive after dark. And
right.
so we find ways for them to connect with each other. And we support that in any way that we can. So
Yeah, yeah. And obviously with the benefit of Nest members, what do you find is the greatest things that you hear about?
oh gosh. So I've always been warned that we're not a relationship, app or anything like
Mhm.
that. But I personally, in the 2 years that I have been there, we've had a couple of romantic connections that have started up through
Nice.
our groups. Yes, yes. And I will not give away any names, but we have a couple that met each other at pickleball because we offer
I love
pickleball
that.
every Friday. And
Uh-huh.
then we also have a variety of support groups, one of them being called On Your Own Again.
Mhm.
And that is supporting people who have lost, whether it be a spouse, a family member, a pet. We don't discriminate. Anyone who is
Right.
suffering loss later in life. And so there were two people who had lost their partners. And through that support group,
Mhm.
they found a connection with each other. And so
Oh, wow.
but we also have poetry, ukulele, folk
Mhm.
singing, conversational Spanish. I mean, and we find that they're meeting up on their own. We have women's groups
Yeah.
that find their own reasons to
That is
support.
so cool.
Yeah,
And it's interesting, Emily, because I look at the fact that, everybody needs a sense of purpose. And
I
if you're
agree.
sitting home alone, oftentimes what happens is you get into a situation where you kind of lose yourself. You kind of internally pull in, and that can be a challenge in many ways. And the fact that, you know, what you're providing is something that, oh, wow, I have a reason to get up every day. I have a
Yes.
purpose to go do something. And I think the other thing that you provide is in an area that's full of safety and that is mindful of any sort of, mobility challenges or different types of dietary challenges or things like that. I'm sure you're very sensitive to those types of things.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we make sure that we have ADA parking, that there's a safe way to get in and out of the building that we use, definitely.
Mhm,
So
mhm. Yeah. And then you obviously do fall prevention workshops at Era Living. But how do their residents then, I'm assuming, are part of that as well?
yes, actually, just earlier today, I registered 3 residents at that facility at that location. Yes,
I
yeah.
love
So
that.
we open it up to everyone because we believe in supporting the whole Northeast Seattle community, not just our
Mhm.
members. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what's your, just for those in Seattle, what's prime when you say Northeast Seattle, usually where are you what areas do you kind of work?
That's a great question. We are east of I-5 all the way up to Northgate, and
Mhm,
then out to Lake Washington, and then down to the cut in the University of Washington in the U District. So
mhm, mhm.
it's
That's great.
14 neighborhoods that we cover.
Awesome. And you guys are a nonprofit, is that correct?
Yes, we are. Yes. Yeah.
And I think I heard something that you're doing like a giving campaign right now. How can people support your organization?
Yes, we are kicking off our Invest in Nest campaign, and the easiest way to support us is to visit our website, which is nestseattle.org.
Mhm,
And all of the information is on there. It's very
mhm,
easy to donate online, or they're always
mhm.
welcome to call or email. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're very excited, obviously, to support you and have you on. And,
Yes.
if anyone is out there in the greater Seattle area that is interested in finding a community, if you have a loved one that may be in that realm or just seeking out a virtual community somewhere, like what Emily said, there's 6 of them in the greater Seattle area. How would they find a community like yours if they don't know? let's just say they're not in this area, would they look under virtual communities? What would they look for?
They could always reach out to us, for example, and we connect people with the village that's closest to them all the time. There's also a there's also a larger network. It's called the Village to Village Network, and they have a map with every single one in the United States.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so cool. Well, Emily, it's been such an honor to have you on the program.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Very
Thank you,
much.
Era Living. Yeah.
Era Living is locally owned and operates 8 premier retirement communities in Seattle, Renton, Mercer Island, Bellevue, and Issaquah. From vibrant, independent living to compassionate assisted living to secure memory care, Era Living respects and honors older adults by enhancing the quality of their lives. Learn more at eraliving.com.